in this part. First of all, colleagues on proof of sickness or injury, and then going back to alternative holidays. But I also want to talk about some ways we could improve this. And there are some very good amendments around that perhaps those on the other side of the House might want to look at. I made a point earlier about the alternative holidays and this being mean-spirited and unnecessary. And I would note the fact that the Minister is in the chair, the Minister of Labour. This is her legislation. Why is that provision there? Looking at all of the material and all the submissions, there seems to be no great desire for alternative holidays. So why is it there, Minister? Why don't you why doesn't the Minister get up and address this House and actually get part of this debate? These are important changes that are disadvantaging New Zealand workers. Now, on the issue of proof of sickness or injury, I mean, this is really just impossible to figure out what the reason behind this is. And in fact, there was no evidence provided of a need for this. There was no commentary about it in the regulatory impact statement, for example. What is the need that this is addressing, or the problem that this is meant to be solving? And we've had doctors publicly comment on the fact that this won't work. And the General Practice New Zealand chairwoman, Bev O'Keefe, told NZPA that there could be capacity problems in our medical centres. If people are trying to get in who are sick for one day and are being required to get a medical certificate, well, I think everybody in this House would probably tell us that that's nigh on impossible to get into the day that you are sick. And as the General Practice New Zealand chairwoman says, capacity problems could well ensue. But also, doctors tell us that when you are generally unwell, that sometimes the best thing to do is just stay at home and stay in bed, not go into certainly not go into work and go into very busy medical centres and spread what you've got around everybody else. So what is the purpose of this? I mean, how fair is it to be able to require somebody to get a medical certificate for sickness or injury without having to have a genuine reason for doing so and without having to tell that person? I can see a situation where this could actually be abused. You could see a harassment situation occurring where if there was the employer's nose, that one way you could go about it was just to actually start being really hardline on medical certificates. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound any more crazy than the actual provision. Why is it necessary to make this change when there is already very clear provisions in the Act that say if you have good grounds to suspect that somebody is abusing the sick leave, that you can require them to get a medical certificate? It's already there. The only difference is you actually have to have a reason. That doesn't seem to be unfair to me, but it does seem to be unfair that you can make somebody go and get a medical certificate and not give them a reason. So I'd really like to ask the Minister, because maybe I'm missing something profoundly important, and it would be great to hear the Minister speaking as well on this important bit of legislation with major changes to our employment legislation. So I certainly think that this is a real concern, and overwhelmingly people who submitted felt that this provision was just draconian and going back, as one submitter said, to the Victorian ages. So we have got some good amendments around this area, and certainly one of those is an amendment that would require the employer to actually advise the employee why they are asking them to go and get a medical certificate. That seems only fair. The other provision is that at the moment the clause provides for the meeting of reasonable expenses. So the employer must meet the employee's reasonable expenses in getting a medical certificate. Well, we all know in this room that the cost of medical certificates can vary around New Zealand, and where I live in Auckland, it's pretty expensive. So what we're proposing here is that we omit the word reasonable and substitute it for the word full, so that actually that would be an improvement. At least the full cost of getting the medical certificate would have to be covered. So I'd like the Minister to actually get up and answer some of these questions.
Michael Woodhouse. I move that the question be now put.
The question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary will say no. The ayes have it.
Party vote called for.
Party vote. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
41 votes opposed.
Green Party.
9 opposed.
Act New Zealand.
5 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
5 votes in favour.
Progressive.
1 vote opposed.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Honourable Chris Carter.
Members, the ayes are 59, the noes are 51. The question will be put. We come to the vote then, the question on part 1, but we have a number of amendments. The first typescript amendment in the name of the Honourable Trevor Mallard to insert new subsection 2A of section 28A in clause 10 in relation to requests for payouts being informed and voluntary. The question is that the amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary will say no. The noes have it. Party vote. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
41 votes in favour.
Green Party.
9 votes in favour.
Act New Zealand.
5 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
5 votes opposed.
Progressive.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote opposed.
Honourable Chris Carter.
Members, there's a correction to the closure motion. The ayes were 69 and the noes are 51. The record will be amended. We now have the question on the first typescript amendment in the name of the Honourable Trevor Mallard. The ayes are 51, the noes are 69. The amendment is not agreed to. The next typescript amendment in the name of the Honourable Trevor Mallard is to insert new subsection 2A of section 28A and clause 10 in relation to requests for payouts being made without duress. The question is that the amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary will say no. The noes have it. Party vote. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
41 votes in favour.
Green Party.
9 in favour.
Act New Zealand.
5 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
5 votes opposed.
Progressive.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote opposed.
Honourable Chris Carter.
Members, the ayes are 51, the noes are 69. The amendment is not agreed to. The next typescript amendment in the name of the Honourable Trevor Mallard is to subsection 2C of section 28A and clause 10 to omit 1 week and substitute 1 day. The question is that the amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary will say no. The noes have it. Noes have it. Party vote. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
41 votes in favour.
Green Party.
9 in favour.
Act New Zealand.
5 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
5 opposed.
Progressive.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 vote opposed.
Honourable Chris Carter.
Members, the ayes are 51, the noes are 69. The amendment is not agreed to. Members, the next 3 amendments in the name of the Honourable Trevor Mallard to substitute other days are ruled out of order as being substantially the same as an amendment already determined by the committee. The next typescript amendment in the name of the Honourable Trevor Mallard to insert new subsection 2D of section 28A and Clause 10 in relation to the time when requests for payouts can be made. The question